let's face it, if you don't do it, somebody else will. And somebody else will get that opportunity. But hard work beats talent every time.
100%. It's the dedication.
100%. Like, you can get better at something, but you can't, like, work ethic, something that can't be rivaled. Yeah. We all, in hairdressing, a lot of the time, fundamentally, the core techniques are very similar to what we all thought. That's the fact.
Yeah.
Same as like a chef having a recipe. Sometimes he might subtract, add certain little bits to get his own little bit, make it neat to him. The fundamentals will be there, but it's how you finish it, it's how you dress it out, it's how you put your own little spin on it.
The final touch.
100%.
Welcome to Off the Runway. I'm Isabella, a fashion journalist with a curious heart, and this is a podcast about people who move differently. Each month, I sit down with creative voices shaping culture and style in their own way. Today, I'm joined by James Parr, creative director, hairstylist, and Wahl Pro Styling Ambassador, who has led some of the industry's biggest shows, and I cannot wait for you to hear what he has to say. James, welcome to Off the Runway. It's such an honour to have you here as my first guest. Thank you for coming on.
Oh, thank you for having me. It's an absolute privilege and pleasure to be the first person on Off the Runway.
Thank you. So you've had an incredible journey in the hair industry so far, and I'm sure all the guests and listeners are going to be inspired by your journey. So if you don't mind, let's get into it.
Yes, the floor is yours. Hit me.
Thank you. Could you share how you started in the hair industry and tell me a bit about your background?
I've been doing hairdressing 20 years next year, which is mad. It's mad. I feel like I've lived about 10 different lives to be honest. So first, we'll go right back to the beginning. I'm from Coventry, just a normal kind of working class background, really. And from the age of senior school, started getting into experiment with my own hair. Any kind of haircut that David Beckham had of the time, copy. And I looked like I was in a little boy band, to be fair, with my blonde frosted tips and all that. And then when I started playing with the experiment with my own hair, I loved the buzz of going to get my hair done, and really started to just have an interest in it. And then there was a TV show on in the early 2000s on Channel 4 called The Salon, which, at the time as well, hairdressing wasn't really we're talking 2002, 2003. It wasn't a respected career choice as such. It was you went and did hair and beauty if that was a last chance resort kind of thing. And, it was kind of always the plan was uni. Not my plan, but that was what I was kind of
plan. Get your grades, get your degree.
Uni, yeah. And this TV show was on, and the two guys that were the main hairdressers on it at the time, it was a bit like Big Brother, if anyone doesn't know, and they were I just thought they were so cool, and they weren't the stereotypical kind of hairdresser as such. They were the rock stars. Off the back of that, I was like, that's what I want to do. Went and got a Saturday job in a hair salon, Coventry. And it's funny because I don't know how I had the guts to the confidence even to bold in there. I was like, you got any jobs? And they were like, yeah, come back tomorrow for a trial. And then got a Saturday job, loved it. And that was kind of where I wanted to go with it. But even then after that, because there was kind of a stigma around there's no money in hairdressing. It's not, it's not a great career choice. Do you know what I mean? And I remember I finished, even when I was at school, I was like, I'm going to be a hairdresser. It's like a kid who's like, I'm going to be a pro football. Yeah. You know what I mean? So all my attention was on being a hairdresser. And I'm not an academic person. I think I'm probably, most creatives are probably on the spectrum for ADHD or something. And if something doesn't grab my attention, I'm not invested in it as such. So I remember finishing school, still wanted to be a hairdresser, and it was like, no, you need to go to sixth form, you need to get grades, then you can do it.
Yeah.
You've got another career path. If it doesn't work out, hated it, dropped out after 6 months. And then I remember I had a part-time job at a sports shop selling trainers.
I didn't know that. You never told me that.
No, a lot of people do. And I loved it because it was I was 16. I was working with all my mates, selling trainers and football boots. Do you know what I mean? Like, he's a good crack. And then I remember I was on my lunch break. I was on the phone to one of my friends. Shout out to Billy, because he'll come and watch this. And he just turned around to me. I was like, I don't want to do this. I want to do hairdressing. And he was like, mate, get the yellow pages out. That's how long ago we're talking. There was no social media at this point. And ring off every salon. And I did. And I rang, and it was a really, really creditable salon back in the day in Coventry. It's not around anymore, called Echoes. Rang them up on my lunch break, and they were like, yeah, come in for a trial the next day. And I would have been 2006, 17, around the September time. And went in, did my trial for 2 hours, got given the job. Doing it ever since.
Amazing. And correct me if I'm wrong, but back then I think hairdressing wasn't seen as, there's so many different pathways in hairdressing. I mean, fashion, the shoots, everything. And back then I think it was seen as more of a standardized. You're in the salon, and that was that.
You work in a little salon. You know, at the time that your big companies were Tony and Guy, the Soons. That was kind of it, really, on a huge scale. And for me at the time, like, the goal for me then was like, I really wanted to work for Tony and Guy. And then I did go on to work for Tony and Guy and had an amazing time with them. And to be honest, like, working for them kind of changed the direction of my career.
Yeah.
And it's funny, I remember, I don't even think I'd started hairdressing full time at this point. And I remember, you know, as kids do, I'd been at like a house party. We were like all hanging around in like a bus staff or something. And at the time I was a Saturday boy, and I was like, I'm going to work at New York Fashion Week and I'm going to do this. And everyone was like, mate, like,
the manifestation.
Like, you're from Coventry. Nobody does that. Like, have a word with yourself, get real. And then
the rest is history.
Yeah.
And going on from that, how did you evolve into a creative director and Wahl Styling Ambassador?
I mean, it's been a lengthy process.
Yeah.
So I didn't just wake up one day and get to where I am, you know. So started working for Tony and Guy in 2011, I think it was. Excelled there, did amazing. The time came where for me it was like, I want to go to London. And at that time, you kind of had to be, it's a bit different now because social media is such a powerful tool. My work can be seen from here to Argentina, to America, to Australia, on the click of me posting a picture, you know?
Yeah.
Whereas back then it was like you had to be in London to be seen. So moved to London, worked at the flagship Tony and Guy with Tony himself in Sloane Square, which was an amazing experience. And that was, being in London was where I first got I saw what we now know in the industry as session work. Yeah, it was like, okay, I'm in London. So I'm going off track a little bit. What I used to do was I'd go to Wardour News in Soho, which is like holy grail of like the fashion magazines. Everyone knows you go there, you find everything. And I used to go down there and I'd read the magazines, always paying attention to the hair. And obviously when some people might know who are watching it, whenever people have a shoot published in print or online, I mean, not as noticeable online at times, but you will always have the credits.
Yeah.
And there was this hairdresser's name who kept popping up, an amazing hairdresser called Benno Rock. And I was just in awe of his work. And celebrity he worked with and the titles he worked with. And one of my friends said to me, and it's mad, like how sometimes you just need a little push to do it. And then the universe does its thing. One of my friends said, like, just contact his agent. I've filed off his agent, and I'm like, oh yeah, significant assistant, and I rock. And they were like, yeah, great, send us your portfolio over. Now at the time, I had a BlackBerry.
Yeah.
So we're going back a bit here. So it's not your iPhone 16.
No camera quality there.
And it was a couple of salon haircuts, which again, like, if we look at the standard of content that's put out now, wasn't about clean background aesthetics and.
I get.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
It was just
what you had
what I had for that moment, and I had like a really typical hairdresser competition photo, which brilliant haircut, but it wasn't fashion. Do you know what I mean? It's very industry, which at the time, like, anyway, I've sent these pictures in, thought nothing of it. And then that night they emailed me and they were like, Ken's assistants rang in sick for 2 days for cover shoot for Wonderland.
Meant to be.
Are you free? And I was like, yeah. So did that. Then went on mad journey, really. Then I think probably up until 2019, I was first assistant for amazing hairdressers, traveling all around the world, backstage at New York, Paris, Milan, London, did Cannes Film Festival.
The dream.
Yeah, like, yeah, it was amazing. Do you know what I mean? But it was all about me. Every opportunity that came in, it was like taking it. Because the thing is as well, it's like you've got to A, put yourself out there, but B, if you don't have you could do something and you might do it and be like, it's not really me, this isn't what I want to do, but at least you'll know. You've tried, yeah. At least you're not going to be like, oh, I wish I took that. I could do better than that. Because everyone's guilty to that. But yeah, that was kind of, the path I went on, and I did amazing things. I did really, again, the universe works in very weird, mysterious ways. Like, so I did Brooklyn Beckham's hair for American Vogue in 2016.
Incredible.
So yeah, it was mad. I was only meant to be assisting because it was meant to be Victoria who was on the shot, and Brooklyn was there, and then they were like, we want Brooklyn in it. And the guy who was doing Victoria's hair didn't do men's hair. I was in the right place at the right time.
You did.
Yeah, and it all aligned brilliantly. And then that was like 2 or 3 days before Christmas break. Then I went back to London that 2nd January. And then I think on the 5th, that was it. I just obviously do spreads.
Definitely.
And that was me. I was doing the BAFTAs. I was in New York. I was working with Rita Aura's team.
The door just opened for you. Completely opened.
Yeah, and it is. Looking back now, it was an amazing time. Very fast paced. I am living about 7, so I'm still quite young. It was quite a lot for me to deal with and get my head around. And then that happened for a few years, and then lockdown happened.
How did lockdown affect you in the hairdressing industry, if you don't mind me asking?
From a personal standpoint, it was the best thing that ever happened to me personally.
Yeah.
It gave me a chance to reset, look at my lifestyle, change a few things, figure out where I wanted to go. And yeah, it was just a perfect reset for me. At the time, obviously, we didn't know if anything was ever going to go back to normal. But I was working, which I still am, for Nashwhite as the creative director, and just kind of focusing on the future. And then that led me then into a lot of industry awards, because I thought I've still got some unfinished business with the industry. Session work is amazing, but it's very detached from the hair industry.
Yeah.
Because it's fashion, right?
Yeah.
So I felt like I just had I had a little bit of maybe a chip on my shoulder, point to prove, and started taking what I knew from session, bringing it into the hairdressing. And it worked. I think I finalised for awards in the last years. I still haven't got a W.
Nearly there.
We're getting closer. And then I went on the Fame team, which changed the landscape of everything in the direction.
I was just about to mention Fame Team. So I've kind of watched you grow for the past year, and I've heard about Fame Team. And I was going to ask, how did that affect the opportunities you had in the way your career developed? What changed for you after Fame Team? And for the listeners, could you please explain what Fame Team is?
Yeah, so of course. So the Fame Team stands for Fellowship Academy of Merit and Excellence. So it's a year-long initiative that's run by the British Fellowship of Hairdressing, and the job, or the kind of process, is to unearth the best up-and-coming young British talent within hairdressing. Now, some of the names that have been on there before: Chris Appleton, who's the Kardashians, Reed, Tim Scott Wright. There's some amazing big named hairdressers. And what that does is you go through like it's really weird because if you're not in it, you don't quite get it.
Understand, yeah.
It's like going on the X Factor.
For hair.
Yeah.
Okay.
So you kind of go through lengthy audition processes, and I think in the semi-finals when we did it, they chop you up and put you together. It's like they're making a little band, like a little pop band. Then you're competing against each other, and then they'll put, right, we want you four to work on stage together. We want you to do this, we want you to do that. And there's a lot, and then they'll give you a concept, and it's like, right, you create this look. It can be anything you want, or it can be like, right, you've got 20 minutes to do this. Really, really intense. Hundreds, possibly thousands of people apply, and then it gets whittled down to 4, and the 4 people who do it get a place on it. And then when you win, you're really thrust into the spotlight of the industry for 12 months, essentially. And we had our lead mentor was an amazing woman and hairdresser called Sally Brooks, who I owe that lady a lot, man. Like she helped to give me the missing piece to what I was lacking creatively and bringing my vision to life. And I think for me, like you might not really get this vibe of me, but I've suffered and still do at times suffer really badly with imposter syndrome. You know, confidence and self-belief, like happens to it. You know, I'm just quite good at putting on a front, you know, but it's, you know, she helped to install that belief into me. And, you know, it was amazing year. And the 3 guys that I was on Fame Team with, Ed Moss, Steph Gallagher and Stacey Wright.
Which you're quite close with Stacey.
Yeah, me and Stacey are tight, man. So Stacey heads up the Wahl Professional styling range with, and, you know, she's sister. But the guys that I was with, like, we bonded straight away. And then, you know, but it's weird because you're in this fishbowl where everyone kind of, from like up until like July, everyone's like, oh my God, it's amazing. Then as soon as like August came around, when we're again, I'll go back to the X Factor thing. It's because like then go back to the Fame Team auditions for the next year, and you're in the interview, you're being interviewed, and then you're doing a show, and everyone's all of a sudden the conversations you've got, what are you going to do after Fame Team? And you're like, oh, I don't know.
Overwhelming. Yeah, I can imagine.
Because you're kind of like, you're looked at as like, these are the next big superstars.
Yeah.
You know, and not, you know, again, it goes back to what I said, it's not maybe for everyone. And I don't mean the guys from my team, but I just mean in general, you could go on something like that and be like, I don't really like the attention all the time. So
definitely.
I'm actually quite happy in a little bit more low key, but getting the education from it. Because the mentor days we were mentored by like hairdressing royalty. So it was like a money can't buy experience.
100%. And I think this is what this podcast is about, is the honest truths behind these industries. Because, you know, you see all the pictures on Instagram and it's amazing. The hair's stunning. You're behind fashion shows, getting ready for runways. However, there's a lot more to it. The overwhelming feeling, the feeling of like being drained, everything. 100%. It's not necessarily spoken about.
I mean, like you see me quite regularly.
I see you quite regularly.
Right. Yeah. So you probably know me quite well now. You can probably tell when I've got a lot on.
Before HairCon, yeah, there was a lot going on for you.
So people don't see that.
No.
Because people only see the Instagram post when it's all done and it's gone well. People don't see like when maybe I have another day off for 3 weeks, or taking calls up until like 11 o'clock at night. Then I'm making dinner, and then I'm maybe having like not a lot of sleep.
Posting at 1 a.m. sometimes.
Yeah.
What are you doing?
Yeah. Yeah. So like people don't necessarily see the grind that goes into it. Do you know what I mean? And then that's the reality of it. But it's like anything that you want to excel at in whatever career field, or whether it's creative or not, you know, those things that give you the edge over your competition.
100%.
Because let's face it, if you don't do it, somebody else will, and somebody else will get that opportunity. But hard work beats talent every time.
100%. It's the dedication.
100%. Like you can get better at something, but you can't. Work ethic, something that can't be rivaled. Do you know what I
Can't
mean?
do the 9 to 5, go home and turn off. There's so much.
So, and listen, like, with full transparency on that one is if that's what you want to do, wicked. Like, for me, that's not really what I want to do.
No.
Do you know what I mean? But there's nothing wrong.
No, definitely.
Do you know what I mean? Like, some people wouldn't be able to handle the stress. You know what I mean?
It's a lot.
You know, like I've just driving down here, I've took 2 calls. You know what I mean? One with my agent, one with Stace. And it's little things of like, we've got a show coming up in Liverpool and just going over the models and this going to work for that. Is that people don't see that side to it?
No.
Do you know what I mean? So, you know, there's a lot more to it than just
A lot of preparation, dedication.
yeah, but it's worth it. You know, for me, I'm a kid that I'm not a kid anymore as much as I probably act like it, but you know, everything I do is for the 17-year-old version of me that was apprentice. It was sat in that house party situation, telling everyone that.
Living his wildest dreams.
Do you know what I mean? And that's where, even when it gets stressful, and like, we can all have a moan, but it's where you just need to remember, I'm doing this for me because this is what I want to do. I don't want to look back in 15, 20 years time and think nothing.
No regrets. No
Yeah.
regrets.
And even if like it doesn't go the way it planned, you're gonna land somewhere close enough that is further than if you didn't do
And
it.
at least you tried.
Yeah, exactly.
And as a creative director, how do you approach designing hairstyle, like looks, and how for a show? And what factors do you consider when you're doing that? Because I can imagine there's quite a lot of thought and creativity.
Are we talking? Which I've got many hats. So are we talking Nashwhite?
Let's do Nashwhite, a creative director for Nashwhite.
So if we're doing a shoot for Nashwhite, let's just say we're doing a brand campaign.
Yeah.
There are lots of different factors we need to figure out. Okay, so obviously, what is the brand voice? Trying to go in the direction. What is our aesthetic? And that's not just from a hair perspective. Could be from the way that it's shot, photography wise, lighting, aesthetically, the backdrop, the background, the texture in the hair, the movement. You know, who are we wanting to? What are we trying to say with it? You know, if I'm working creatively for one of my awards, you know, my last collection, and this is a really weird one, actually blew my head a little bit. So I shot a collection, intended for the British Hairdresser. 2 years ago, I shot it. And going back to the stuff I learned on Fame Team, one thing that I really picked up was about having nods to things, finding nuances without replicating what's been before.
Definitely.
And I find my source of inspiration from lots of different places, predominantly from music, but also places I've been, people I've met, you know, cultures, youth movements, moments of time. It varies, but so this collection was loosely based around by an indie group called The Enemy from Coventry, where I grew up, and their debut album, which was massive when I got into hairdressing. I listened and I was like, this sums up kind of like the mood of where we're at right now, society, without going down a political.
Yeah,
it's not for that, but you know, and it was basically the concept was about working class kids living on a council estate, and you know, they're fed up with what's going on in the outside world, and you know, not knowing how they're going to crack on in life. Now, got working class kids living on a council. Hipster kids, working class, living on a council. They ain't got much money. What's their hair going to look like? Okay, it's going to be quite aggressive. It's going to be quite DIY. It's going to be quite in your face. It's not going to be perfect. It's not going to be beautiful. It's going to be this. It's going to be... That's kind of like another direction where my head can go if I'm working creatively. It's like not necessarily a bit more conceptual than just being kind of like generic. You know what I mean? And the mad thing about that collection is it's like I did that 2 years ago, and at the time I was like, oh, it's flopped. Right? Mad. It's mad. I was like, oh, it's flopped. And it's a bit like whenever you're bringing out a new collection or something, I guess it's a bit like music. Someone's bringing out an album or a single, and it didn't finalise for the British Hairdresser Awards, which is cool. Like the judges have what they're looking for, and it wasn't that time. And then 2 years later, got published in Creative Head, They did a 4-page spread on it. And now it's been, I think, in Germany, Australia, magazine in Australia on it. So it's mad, like,
Full circle.
yeah. And it's like, sometimes you can be a bit ahead of the curve in a way, and it might just not have landed at the right time to drop. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So it's, it's always like have belief in your work, and it still looks timeless. It's timeless. That's one thing I try and do with all my work creatively, is make sure that it's not too trend based, in the fact of it's just in 10 years time, it will still look nice.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Classic.
100%.
I think that's one of the things I find most fascinating and inspiring by you as a hairdresser, is that in a creative director and everything you do, is that there's always a story behind your looks, or there's an emotion, or there's a feeling.
100%.
And I love that. I think it's amazing, because people may just look at it, but look deeper into it, and it's just, there's so much more to it.
And I think it's art at the end of the day. If you go to an art gallery and you've got the artist there explaining what it's about, and you look at it twice and you're like, get it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But on the flip side, though, if I'm creating something, like my friends who I grew up with aren't hairdressers. A lot of them are lads. I have no interest in hair or fashion. And I don't mean any shade in that. But if I'm showing them my work, I want them to still look at it and be like, yeah, that looks sick. Right?
That's cool. I like it.
I don't get it.
But I like
sick.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Like, it's not, and that's the reaction you want. For me, I want the everyday person on the street to look at it and be like, yeah, it's cool.
Definitely.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, 100%. And you like your own look. You have your own signature style. But how do you stay up to date with current hair trends and like balance following the trends whilst maintaining your style?
I think for me, a heavy part to play in that is probably my background in session and fashion. It's having that eye for what works. And obviously, like, you need to kind of keep your finger on the pulse of, like, in the world we live in now, what is trending? Do you know what I mean?
There's a new trend every 10 minutes at the moment.
Yeah.
So,
I'm not a fan of all the trends that come out, especially TikTok. But maybe that's just because it's not my generation. But I think, it's just keeping an eye on what's happening. And again, going to places like Paris, for me, is one of my favorite places to go in the world. You want to know what's going on in fashion? Go and spend a few days in Paris.
You'll find out that.
You will see the looks and the vibes and what the cool kids are wearing on the streets, how they're wearing their hair. It's funny, I've just got back from Portugal, and I mean, you wouldn't know it because I'm not that tan. But
You were glowing the other day. I said to you, I was like, what, you've got a tan?
Yeah. Pale skin, it's gone, vanished. But like, for me, like, obviously we're in peak summer, but they're like looking at how people wearing their hair on the beach. You know what I mean? That texture, that unlived in. And you are right. I do have my own feel. I don't like think, unless it's required and needed. I'm not an over the top glam hairdresser. That's just not me.
Yeah.
Isn't, it's not where my kind of inspo comes from. I can do it.
But you do the best effortless wave.
You
do. You do. I do think that less is more in your situation.
Yeah, 100%. And but again, it's like, I have my clients and that love that. Some clients that they'd feel like their hair wasn't done. Do you know what I mean? So it's just finding that balance. But yeah, inspirations for me, they come from everywhere. And I think kind of just got to pay attention to what's going on the high street still. Got to pay attention to social media and just traveling, just seeing what different cultures are happening. Because you could take something from one culture or one area and you could put something there. And I was doing a mentor day recently, the British Fellowship of Hairdressing, myself and Stacey were, and we had this talk with the morning before they even did any hair, and going through creative process, talking about where you can find your inspos, how you can make it. We all, in hairdressing, a lot of the time, fundamentally, the core techniques are very similar to what we all thought. That's the fact.
Yeah.
It's same as like a chef having a recipe, make cake. Sometimes he might subtract, add certain little bits to get his own little bit, make it meet to him. That's why cake could be very different from maybe Gordon Ramsay, Marco Pierre. Do you know what I mean?
Definitely.
Because they're going to put your own flavor and your own style, and the fundamentals will be there, but it's how you finish it, it's how you dress it out, it's how you put your own little spin on it.
The final touch.
100%. You know, and there's a lot of similarities between high level chefing and high level hairdressing. Pressure cooker, the room for error is very marginal. Putting your own hair and flavor and things.
Definitely. And you were the lead for the opening of HairCon back in June. Could you please walk me through how the typical day unfolds, how you collaborate with assistants, how you share responsibilities? How does a day like that go?
So HairCon, I'll tell everyone who's not too sure about HairCon. So HairCon's a brand new creative industry hair show meets festival. It's set in the Victoria Warehouse in Manchester. And last year, myself and Stacey Wright, we were on the main stage, and we did a really, really cool show together it was like Stacey's from Manchester. It was like a love letter to the creativity of Manchester. It was sick. So good. And that was her baby because she had the emotional attachment to Manchester.
Definitely.
But it looked cool. And then this year, and Stacey did an amazing show on the main stage this year, may I add. So if anyone is on Instagram, go and check her out, Stacey Wright Hair. She did an amazing, amazing show. But this year, Stacey did the main stage. And one thing that is really core for me is I want to give back to the next generation of hairdressers. So I had this little think and I was like, what am I going to do for HairCon? And I was like, do you know what? I think it's time I give something back. So I work quite closely with the British Fellowship of Hairdressing and Wahl Professional. Obviously, I'm the head of their UK styling range. So I had a chat with them and with the fellowship, and we came up with the concept of me kind of blooding in some new talent and some next generation stars. So it was kind of, we've got an education platform that we're bringing out. Well, we've brought out, for Wahl Professional. And it was like, let's bring that to life, but let's let the two girls who are going to be joining me on stage kind of have a little bit of fun with it and play. And, so there's a lot that goes into it though. I'm going a bit off track. Everything from casting models to styling. How do we want it to look? When are you going to walk on stage? Okay, you're going to wait there. I'm going to stand here. We've got 20 minutes. How much prep are we going to need to do backstage? Because we've only got 20 minutes, and those 20 minutes are going to go very, very quick once I've started talking and I've done my intro. Then it's going to come to you. Are the girls going to be able to do hair and talk? Pressure, got an audience. They've never been on stage. So much goes into it.
People don't realise. It's crazy. Before I met you, I didn't know how much that there was behind these shows. I mean, it's incredible. There's so much planning.
But that's all the buzz of it, and it's about bringing your vision to life. HairCon was amazing. And
one of them being Millie, who's just insane. She's incredible herself.
Isn't she just?
She had to have a mention here.
Yeah, 100%. So I've mentored Millie for the last 3 years.
I think it's around 3 years.
Yeah, so Millie joined us at Nashwhite as an apprentice. And I knew it's very rare, like lightning struck in a bottle. You know what I mean? I knew from the first haircut she did, we've got something special. We've got someone who could be amazing. And she just reminded me so much of myself. It's been tough. It's been really tough, because, and she won't mind me saying this, she asks a lot of questions, which I don't always have the answer for. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And that's not a bad thing, but because sometimes I do things on feeling and an instinct, I can't tell you why I did that.
You just did it.
I just did it. I was feeling where it was going and I liked how that shape was developing. But yeah, Millie's amazing. She smashed it on stage. She's back on stage with me in October, Manchester, October the 7th. That's going to be a sick one. Yeah, she's cool, man. She just reminds me of a mini me. And she's so talented. And the beautiful thing is she don't even realise it.
And she's just so authentic in herself as well. She's just the loveliest person. And when you guys are working together, under pressure during shows, what techniques and tools do you find indispensable to use? What are something you will always have with you?
So, Wild Pro Vanquish, My hairdryer, that's a necessity. Whether I'm, setting something, my diffuser attachment, and then obviously my tongs, 32 mil and 25 mil Wahl Pro Shine tongue, and my Pro Glide straighteners. They're like my electrical go-tos. And then bit of oil spray is always a key.
I think I've got a guess for this one as well. You like your Alnet, don't you?
Gotta have some Alnet. Stage, you gotta have some Alnet. Go like
best hairspray ever.
Listen, it's the one. Not a lot of people would admit that, but yeah, Alnet's is a necessity. A hairnet, toothbrush, even maybe if you need to get rid of some little flyaways. And
so much that goes into it, honestly. And with social media and digital platforms being a huge thing recently, how do you think the hair industry's evolved, and do you think it's had more of a positive or a negative impact? How have you found the change to social media, obviously coming from starting your career before it was all about and a big thing?
It is a good thing to a degree. Social media in general is a good thing to a degree if it's properly. Fortunately, comparison is also the thief of joy. So when you're doom scrolling, you're picking apart every part of your work, or you're looking at everyone else's. It's not going to be good, is it?
No.
But it's also really good from a respect of like network with one in the world.
Definitely.
You can get on people's radars, and like you can drop someone a DM, and it's great in that respect. And great as well for personal brand building. But with that can come a lot of and a lot of hate.
And how do you cope with that? What's your advice for someone, that wants to start in the industry, and advice to succeed, but also how to cope with the voices?
Okay, so my views recently, I've had to step back a little bit from social media. My views went to a very, very high figure for me, because I don't ever post. Probably shouldn't admit this, but strategy isn't something I do when I post. Started using the strategy and stuff, and my views were going bad, like big numbers, And for me, that's someone who's not social media.
I can imagine that's a lot to
and then when you think to yourself, you're like, oh my God, there's so many people view my everyday life. I was like, I need to step back a bit. It freaked me out a bit.
I understand that.
Half a million people are looking at your work in a month.
So, whoa,
that's like quite scary.
Imagine people actually standing there. That's a lot of people.
Yeah, and like you've got to think, like, I'm posting everything on my story, and like I need a bit for me.
Yeah,
because this is just freaking me out a little. Some people probably love that. It just freaked me out. Trolls are hard to deal with because you've still got a professional image to maintain. You can't be kicking off with someone when you've got brand deal.
And you're also human. It's not nice to hear for anyone.
Nah. But equally, if someone's being nasty, you got to think to yourself, how unhappy is your life for you to be leaving negative shit on it?
Spending your time thinking of just commenting on that.
And also, like 9 times out of 10, people like, I've had it before where negative stuff's been chucked around on the internet. And I just think if I was with my friends on a night out, you wouldn't be saying that.
No.
Do you know what I mean?
Half of them couldn't say anything.
Like, so if you want to hide behind a screen and type away, like, you think that. I know where I'm going. I know, like, I'll see you around sometime.
Definitely. We can have a chat then. And how do you, could you share any challenges that you've had at an event and how you overcame that? For people, that want to work their way up, there's going to be times where they're a bit like, oh, that was a tough moment.
Always tough. It's tough to get to the top. And depending on where you want to get to, it's always going to be tough. And especially if me personally, I'm my own worst critic. I could do stuff that people think is beautiful and I'll still pull it apart.
100%.
It's the way I am, unfortunately. But you just got to remember classic example, right? Millie.
Yeah.
Did the ASOS Adidas show recently.
Yeah.
Okay.
Which looked incredible.
Looked sick, didn't it?
It looked incredible.
So, a little backstory on this, people who don't know. So, I got an email. You want to do the shows? And then my diary at the time was just packed out, and I was like, instead of me just passing on this, I'll pass it on. I was like, look, I've got an amazing hairdresser. She's my first assistant when I'm doing stuff. Here's the details. Anyway, Millie's gone to do the show. First big show she's done. She had a bit of a meltdown, bless her, on the day. About a week later, buzzing about it. Because once the dust settles, and like I said to her at the time, like, you're going to learn something from this. Like, and I've been there myself, I've been there on shows where I've had my head in my hands, like, I'm way out my depth. But I've still learned something. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, 100%. I mean, me sitting here right now, I'm like, this is...
And you're doing amazing.
Great. Thank you.
Shame we haven't got Luna's vlog.
First guest. There's no one else I would have rather had as my first guest either. I mean, just for the listeners, so that they kind of understand how I know you. You helped me with my application for College of Fashion, and that helped me get my scholarship with them. So you saw the potential that I didn't see in myself before.
100%.
Which I can't thank you enough for. But just so the listeners know that you have, not only do you mentor all of these amazing upcoming hairdressers, you've also mentored me without even necessarily possibly realising it.
But you know what? That's just, I think we all need an opportunity sometimes.
100%.
And if we go back way back when, I just knocked on the door so many times, but no one was there to help me. You know what I mean? And no one really guided me. And it was just like, whereas now I'm in a position where if I can help people and I can give like yourself a little bit of info, do this, don't do that. Like, think about that maybe a bit more. Like, then that's what it's all about, It's putting good karma out there, man.
And I think that's amazing. And I respect it so much because there is a lot of people in the industry that wouldn't necessarily want to help until you've got to a point where you're like there and they'll...
I think in the creative industry as well, like, I can get very like cutthroat. And just because you're helping someone but get their career further along doesn't mean you're going to not have an opportunity yourself.
100%.
There's enough food on the table for everybody. Like, don't be that person just hell-bent on not helping people. Because at the end of the day, ultimately, like, ultimately, there's going to come a point where that person who's starting out is probably going to go somewhere. And there might become that time where you think, oh my God, I'd love to work with you. And they'll say, I've had it done to me. And I'm like...
But you didn't help me then, so why would
you know what I mean?
You now?
Like, oh, now I've signed a deal with a global company, want to come and assist me. Right.
It's about being seen, but also feelings.
100%. And we've all got to start somewhere. You know what I mean? You don't just wake up one day...
and it will be on your lap.
No, it's going to take hard work. And it's like you saying earlier on when I got here, thanking me for coming down. Like, it's a pleasure for me to be here. Do you know what I mean? Like, I'm not doing anything today. I've got a few calls to make. Like, what am I going to achieve by saying no?
Definitely.
You know what I mean? Like, if hopefully I'm not boring people too much. But
no.
Did I tell you, like,
I think if people don't leave this conversation feeling inspired in some way, then I don't know what, to be honest, because your story is just incredible. And my final question for you is, what do you have coming up and what are you hoping next years? What are your dreams? What's coming up for James Parr?
Personal or professional?
Either, whatever you'd like to share.
Oh. Okay, so lots coming up. A very busy end coming. I think first and foremost, I've got a show in Liverpool, September. Professional. Okay, going to be pretty cool. We're bringing to life our new conceptual hair show, or in subcultures and thick fashion. Got that's going to be amazing. I've then got another show in Manchester where Millie on stage with me. Sounds like a rapper. Millie Braham is going to be on stage with me, where again, that's on behalf of Wahl Professional. That's from the British Fellowship of Hairdressing. I've got Salon International in October, which is going to be huge, which is going to be a 3-dayer. So that's going to be lots of creative work and educational work on stage over the 3 days. I've got seminars to, I guess, as well, like long term, it's just, continuing to work with Wahl Professional and Simon Shaw, my boss at Wahl, have been amazing to me and the opportunities they give me. And also Nashwhite as well. Like Nashwhite, my bosses, Lee and Rob, like they've been insane for backing my crazy ideas.
Also very talented and creative.
You know, they're two amazing men, people, you know, and they took a chance on me back in 2019 when not a lot of people would have. Like, I'm not going to go too deep into it, but my personal life was in great shape. I've maybe took my eye off the ball a little bit. And like I said earlier, lockdown gave me that chance to reset and realign and figure everything out. And you know, so the key thing is, you know, keep doing the brand stuff, taking that in a new direction for Nashwhite. And I think for me as well, like on a personal level, it's just like, keep going with this, man. Like, it's been a journey, like, and I think we've scratched the surface here, like, because
there's so much we could do. I mean, we've already gone on for an hour, and I feel like we could keep going forever. There's so much.
Like, it's been a mad journey, and I'm 36 now, and I feel like I'm just getting warmed up. I don't even feel like I'm at the halfway point. You know, I feel like I'm about to go into the second quarter of it. You know, I'm very determined to like keep helping to inspire and motivate and for the next generation, but also just like, I think for me now, the point where I'm at in my career, everything's about like sounds really over the top, but a legacy.
Yeah.
You know, like I'm at a point now where it's like, okay, this might not happen tomorrow. Like, for some reason, I might not be able to do what I do. So I've got to keep doing it like every day is my last.
100%, because you do never know at the end of the day.
You know, and that's a bad shoulder at the minute. That's been freaking me out, you know, like I am getting older. Do you know what I mean? Like, it's just the facts of life. But, you know, I'm kind of like, let's run with this as far as you can. Let's take it to heights that a kid from Coventry, when he was 17, shampooing hair, never thought he could. You know, I've worked with A-listers all around the world. I've had an amazing time, and I'm entering a new, like 2026. Is that next year?
Next year,
2026.
yeah.
It's going to be a cool year, man. Like,
I cannot wait to see that.
Yeah, I'm in that period now where I'm just like, I'm at peace with a lot of things. I'm at peace, and I'm like,
ready.
Yeah. Like, I'm like, yeah, let's go for it, man. Let's just do some amazing shows. Let's do some amazing photo shoots. Let's do what I want to bring to life and
go all in.
That's it, innit? God, go.
James Parr doesn't ever go half-heartedly. He goes all in. He goes all in. Well, James, it's been such a pleasure having you as my first guest on the runway, and it's been so inspiring hearing your stories and insights, and I'm sure
you've done amazing, by the way, considering this is your first interview.
I couldn't have asked for a better first guest, so what a way to kick off the podcast.
It'll be the start of many.
Fingers crossed. Thank you for listening to Off the Runway, and a massive thank you to James Parr for being here today and kicking off the podcast in such an amazing way. I'll be back next time with more stories that explore style, identity, and the stories behind them. Same time, same place, Off the Runway.